Episode 11 is live. We're all live. We're all alive. Okay, so this is the Wired crew of the Blue Oolong episodes, but the Wired crew's name is Blue Solace, right? And oh no, it's coming. Brian, why don't you introduce your character? I have to be.
My character is Quiz, the Haunt. They are hard to describe physically because they have cyber skin and cyber clothes, so their appearance is shifts as their needs take them. As a Haunt, I'm the manipulator, hacker, addressing challenges with deception and influence. Grasshopper heritage. So they came overland to the city from a forged community that no longer exists.
Any pertinent moves people should know about?
Lots of hacking stuff and disguise stuff. Yeah, hacking and disguise.
Lord God. Google does that lately to people when they're just like, and you're gone. Okay, cool. Jesse, do you want to introduce your character?
Yeah, sure. I've got Silver, and she is a tipper. She's older, and as I mentioned, was kind of part of the machine, part of the problem going forward. And she was basically, because she was military, then went kind of like private contractor route, special operator, ended up doing working for corporations that led to these problems, doing stuff like, corporate espionage, maybe making someone disappear here and there, investigators into what corporations were doing and whatnot. Always thought, hey, I'm not the one doing, the damage to the planet. I'm not the one doing this. I'm just doing my job kind of thing. Then eventually, when everything went to shit, realized that, oh crap, I actually was part of that problem. This was not, I wasn't just doing my job. I was enabling something awful. And so Silver kind of hides her age at this point, hides her past, probably in her early 50s, kind of hides her long graying hair by dyeing it metallic silver, kind of shaved side of the head, super long, swooped off the other side, metallic silver hair. Kind of had a massive shift a few sessions ago, was kind of just go kill everyone, chop heads off, let's go take stuff by force kind of person, but a job almost went bad, and our less combat oriented people almost got hurt significantly. So Silver's kind of had a bit of an about face and kind of had to reassess where she's coming from, and is more at this point about making sure that she keeps the people in the crew safe and less about going off on her own and chopping off heads. So for that, she took a move from another playbook, the Feint. It's a 2 times per score. I can assist a teammate without paying stress and tell you how, that kind of stuff. So she's much more looking out for the rest of the crew at this point than assuming that this is like another special operator team where everyone can take care of themselves. So yeah, that's where she's coming from right now.
Why don't you describe the Blue Oolong as well?
Yeah, man, I always feel like it's hard to describe. I feel like we get multiple descriptions of it going. But okay, so Blue Oolong is our cover. It's where we have a base. So it's the front of it is a really nice tea shop in this area. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember how we've described the inside of it at this point, and I'm kind of losing it. Other than the fact that it's a nice front tea shop up front, and then high-tech beaded curtain type situation where the back part of the building is separated off. We have a workshop in the back that J5 does a lot of their tinkering and stuff out of, one of the other characters that's not here right now. We also have kind of an underground back there, bunker / living quarters. So it's, this nice legitimate front of a tea shop where we often have meetings with other gangs, other groups, that kind of thing, but it's all business in the back. So I guess it's the opposite of a mullet, so it's kind of
fun. Yeah. And then there's a wall of tea, and yes. I think to get drugs they buy a specific kind of tea, and then they have an address or whatever. They go to that address, they get the drug, but they pay for it at the establishment basically. So it's a thing. And mechanically, you're pretty well situated, right? Like, let's see, you have
secure one. Yeah. So
and hidden. So yeah,
hidden and secure. So it's a pretty solid base of operations for us.
And VD, whatchamacallit, like turned or just really like swayed hardcore the head of the district police sentinels here too. So generally you're doing all right. They're just like, what? Cool. Lauren, you're back. You want to introduce VD?
Sure. Sorry. VD is a feint, so it's kind of like a spidery mastermind who leads the Blue Oolong tea shop. She, on a meta level, she was an NPC who was like a friend of the crew, and then I took her over as a PC. So she came from being like this sort of background tea shop owner character into like this more sinister like mastermind trying to lead this drug operation they have going on. In terms of her personality and character, let me pull up her sheet. She is a Foundation character, so she's been here for a long time, and I gave her a underground backstory. So like, long story short, she did run a legit business in this area, but then got sort of like pushed out and lost a lot of money and is now in a spot where she is procuring drugs to try and earn a bit of cash. I think long term she wants to get out of the drug trade. She wants to like sort of run like a legit high class, like high end tea shop business, since like water is quite a scarcity, and being able to like produce like really good tea is a luxury in this kind of area. So like that's sort of like her aspiration. But along the way, she totally got hooked on her own drug, and now she is more obsessed with making sunshine, peddling sunshine, smoking / consuming sunshine. So that's kind of what she's all about right now. She also likes to make friends. She's often like, I'm inviting people around for tea at the tea shop, and she is super friendly until she suddenly becomes like super mean. So she's very, very kind, like lady of like Asian descent. Until someone pisses her off, and then she gets quite cruel. I think that's kind of VD.
Excuse me, I was sneezing. Cool. Patrick, do you want to introduce your character?
Sure, as much as I have. I went with Fault as an alias. He's forged, so grew up outside of Shelter 1, working basically as a scout for a crew that was out tracing acts of God, trying to gather information about them, trying to determine any patterns if there were any, or at least like early warnings for people. And underworld background, so I think they traded into like these sort of crews, or people from the Roots.
Yeah.
Rather than to the corporate government. Let's see, he's a quirk, so he said studies the acts of God. I went pretty basic with his abilities. So I have Steeled Heart, where I'm more resistant to the acts of God, and Seasoned, where I'm better at gathering information about them. A lot of study, some command, some other things just from being out in the waste. He's fairly young, blonde and scarred, and a cyber eye, and interesting faceplate thing that I found. But I think he came into the city, sort of got his footing through like a cousin. That was my positive friend relationship I went with there, just because I like the phrase data tattooist. That sounds wonderful. And I don't know how he's hooked up with this crew. Is it something like I'm assumed to be bringing up an NPC that's sort of been in the background of the crew, or is this going to be a cold meet or what?
It could be. It could be whatever you think is interesting. Quiz 2 needs to get worked into the fiction, I think. But yeah, since like they've recently tiered up, which means more people have flocked to them, so it'd be a natural thing to just say one of those people is you, and then
Okay.
in the like TV show of this, you just become a main part, right?
Cool. So I think like I was the liaison between like my family and group that is out there gathering information and this crew in particular. And then when y'all expanded out, took to hiring, I was looking to get out of the storms and come into the city. So I think it was just a natural connection there where I went from sort of part-time work to, yeah, I'll do with you full-time. I've totally got all the skills you need. Definitely not a level 2 character.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it might be, oh, I just gotta get up my faction sheet up. One of the recent things that I wrote for the Forge sounds like it could be where you might be from. It's called Silk Falls, where the Owaza are, and basically they're a community of people that garden and kind of like rear these gene hacked flowers and as like a plant organism, and the pollen is genetically engineered so that when it releases, an act of God it like consumes it and feeds back the data and stuff like that.
That's cool. I love that.
And they live in like there's a sort of shredded crevasse out in the desert where they're sort of like hidden in there.
So like pollen weather balloons?
Kind of, yeah. Like just
Interesting.
they've hacked it so that the plant life is sort of like biotech, and then the pollens are like half gene stuff, half cybernetic stuff, so that it naturally is consumed by the stuff around them and then feeds back data. And that's like literally how the whole community kind of gets by, is they are continually innovating and gene hacking these plants and then getting these pollen spores to release and then gather the information and sell it as info brokers, basically.
I like that. You said Silk Falls?
Silk Falls, yeah.
Cool.
And let's see. What about Quiz? How did you get here, Quiz?
So that's where Quiz just was, right? Was so
yeah. So there's like a cross pollination, huh?
So there's that connection. There's Quiz used to work with Silver way back in the day.
Yeah, that could easily be.
When it was little baby Quiz.
Totally.
Yeah, because things got really hot with that crew, right? And then you're just like,
yeah, I think Quiz just they're a bunch of adrenaline junkies, and Quiz is just like, okay, enough of this. These guys are gonna get me killed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think probably just reached out to Silver and was like, hey, maybe you guys tearing up too and stuff. So maybe there's just, hey, wait a minute, I think I know someone in that crew, and reached out and like,
yeah. And then I think it was like one of those really easy things. Like VD and Silver have such a rapport at this point. Like I think all it took was me bringing you to the Blue Oolong and like looking to VD and being like, he's good and we can trust him. I think he might want some tea. And,
exactly.
I think that might have been it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's totally how I envisioned it too.
Nice. I dig it. Yeah.
Cool. I also really like that Quiz. You could totally have the information that you have about Silk Falls and what happened there. And that would be a good one of the XP triggers in this, Patrick, is when you express your beliefs drives culture or background. And so you can just make up whatever your culture is, and when you express it, kind of like you're painting the scene kind of thing with your own culture and what you see in the world and stuff like that, you get XP for that. And Quiz knows what happened back home and it's pretty cool. So if you shared that, that'd be some XP, and it would be a good sort of through line between each of your characters, and at the same time break the wall for everybody so these people know what happened there too, which would be fun and cool and interesting and great. So cool. Any questions, Patrick?
What is Shelter One?
Shelter One is like a massive structure that was funded by the 3 corporate council people, the shelter, safety, information, and what's the other one I'm thinking of? Safety. Nourish, yeah. The gene hacker people. Basically, they saw this coming beforehand and constructed this massive shelter out of, being really nice / trying to run a giant city the way that they want to. It started
Is it enclosed?
Yeah, if you look at the Roll20, I have kind of like the fantasy approximation of what it looks like that I found on the internet. But each zone is segregated into different portions. You guys are in the green zone, and it's where all the refugees are and stuff like that. But yeah, it's
Cool.
It has like technology to deal and literally shelter people from acts of God as they come and go and stuff. But as it has been completed now and more people arrive and stuff, it's becoming more and more clear that the corporate council has ulterior motives that they're now moving on, that are beyond just the benevolence of creating the shelter for everybody. And of course, most likely they're the corporations that contributed to climate change in the first place, and that's why they saw this coming. But mum's the word on that. As far as technology goes, though, before I was using a retro future thing to describe it, which is not quite accurate. It's more like technology that is bad for the environment is banned or black market, and you can get like put in the slammer for it and stuff like that. So technology is kind of regressed in the same way that if you picture the first Blade Runner movie, the district is like packed with a lot of people. There's a lot of iconography and stuff because a lot of people don't. The second generation people have their own sort of cyberpunk typical street lingo way of how they're speaking to each other, but first generation people are all coming from different backgrounds that can't communicate. So everything in the green zone and green district is like iconography and stuff like that. Yeah. So the touchstone for the green zone is a lot of like Blade Runner stuff, except not just Asian culture. So yeah. Yeah, does that answer the question? Well, yeah, cool. And awesome. So we're just entering downtime here too, which might be a little weird for Silver because you just had downtime as well. But at least you can further some aims, right? Quiz, we just did the job, so downtime was appropriate for you already too, right? And same with Lauren, so should be fine. Okay, cool. So Patrick, downtime, if you look at the HTTP playtest bundle, page 2, bottom right corner, there's a downtime section of the things that you can kind of like mechanically do. And downtime is considered safe. So if you think of it in PBTA terms, it's like when the MC asks you to frame your own scenes and you play them out. So you have like pretty much creative control and can frame your scenes and explain exactly what's happening, but the purposes of them are driven towards hitting one of these particular things, which is acquiring an asset, which is something that will help you on the next score. So if you're planning something, everything is in a tier level in this game, and you guys are tier 1, which is like kind of pretty low. You're not 0, but you're not great. So to put it in contrast, the corporations would be like tier 5 and tracers would be tier 4. and it takes a while to tier up in this game. So if you go up against higher tiers in this game, it's how you get XP, but it's also kind of how you get thrashed a bit. So, yeah. And then assets are things that help you circumvent that. Long-term projects is an abstraction of pretty much working on anything else in the game that will further what you want to do. And then it's kind of on me to mechanically translate what you're going for in the fiction to give it to you, basically. Recover is if you got beat up. It's time to get good. Reduce heat is a nebulous thing that sometimes takes people a little bit to get their head around. Since it's a safe action, you can literally reduce heat however which way that you want. You could like say that there's a witness and you beat them up. You could like hack some servers and delete information about y'all, any way like that. And all of the die rolls in this downtime action, there's not really like a fail way of doing anything. You can kind of like progress slower if you fail, but there's always a progression and they're always safe. So I can't be like, oh, you failed your reduce heat, cops are coming, right? It's more just like you reduced 1 heat instead of 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. Training is, it's just you mark XP on your sheet, and when you fill up any track, then you get the thing corresponding to it. And indulging vice is how you get rid of stress. All right. So I'll go from left to right, which will leave you last, and then you can see how it kind of goes. And then everybody gets 2 of these actions unless you spend jewels to get more. And it's sort of the like, in the fiction, it's sort of like the stuff that the Ocean's 11 crew after they pull off the job, right? Like they all go crazy and have parties and all that kind of stuff. So, Brian, downtime action number 1. What you gonna do?
Okay. I only have 1 stress, so I'm just gonna say I'm not indulging my vice, and I'm gonna mark that stress now so I don't forget, because I have 1 trauma.
Well, you could always do a different action and push yourself, and then indulge your vice.
I guess. Well, okay. Well, I'll unmark that if that ends up happening, I guess. But, well, you guys like have all of the training upgrades, huh? I will probably do some training.
And Patrick, since they have the upgrades on the crew sheet for training, it means that instead of when they do the action of training, they get double the XP, so 2 XP instead of 1. So it's pretty good.
Let's see, how much heat does the crew have? 2 heat? Let's do that first, just to, I'm new in the crew. I gotta show I'm worth having. We'll reduce heat. There's got to be some hacking that could be done to do that. What am I hacking to reduce the heat? Quiz usually is implicating somebody, some innocent third party. So yeah, maybe I'm planting some evidence of whatever our crimes were actually committed by somebody else.
Sure.
Anyway, I don't know who the factions this crew does or doesn't like. I can always go with my personal.
They don't like the mirrored, which they have taken turf from, by the way, so that should be -2 actually now. And the other ones they've actually worked up a positive relationship with, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the mirror they really don't like, or they really don't like you.
Well, that's starting to get serious, so let's not antagonize them too much. Let's go with my personal, the cryptographers.
Okay, sounds good. The cryptographers are not really like They're kind of like an institution. They handle all of the encryption in all of Shelter One. They're like kind of get outsourced by the companies because they can do it very well, and you get varying degrees of encryption based on the amount of money that you pay them. And I guess Quiz hates them, so that's cool.
So I added the cryptographers to our sheet. What's their tier?
Oh, let me find that. I think they're fairly... Photographers are tier 3 weak.
Weak, and start them out at 0 with them, or what?
Yeah, they don't know you exist at the moment.
Cool.
See, I don't know what crimes I'm framing them for exactly, but
yeah, what was the last thing that you guys did? Well, they stole screen from they don't know who actually. They were just commissioned to steal it from somebody. Out of character, it's Carrion, but they stole this experimental screen that is like much better than the other stuff, basically. And what else did you guys do? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while because the sessions last month kind of got mixed up because there was the flashback episode.
Well, that one's good enough. I'll just go plant some evidence leading towards the cryptographers.
Okay, cool.
So someone is looking into it. We'll see how well I do. I don't think I have anyone assisting me.
No friends?
And no one that makes sense.
Nice. So 5, hit 2.
So that gets rid of all our heat.
Boom. You put in the exact amount of effort needed to that. Cool. So in the scene, we just see you like away hacking on your own little space in the basement or something. What kind of space have you carved out in the Blue Oolong's secret little hidden quarters?
I mean, I probably don't need much room because I'm usually when I'm doing this, I have my rig plugged into my lenses. So
okay,
I'm in a this awesome looking virtual environment. And everyone just sees me sitting there waving my hands around.
Nice. Sounds good. Cool. Silver, first downtime action.
See, I think I'm going to start with some insight training. I think I'm going to be working towards a thing in a dot and survey. So I'm imagining Silver just kind of like running through some old like military like training type stuff. So like she basically would just kind of go out, rooftops and stuff, like surveying different buildings. Okay, like 5 exits, one of them on the north, blah 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 blah. Guards are here, here, and here. I think she's just going through like basic analysis protocols on like casing locations and just analyzing situations. So I'm imagining her just out, just like a little montage of her out doing that.
Cool.
So I'll take those and take a dot in survey because I just filled up that track. And then are we doing both of them now? I kind of missed if we're
one.
Just one right now. Okay, cool, perfect. Yeah. And that's my one.
Lauren?
I really need to de-stress after the last thing we did, so I am going to indulge in some sunshine.
That drugs.
Yep.
Get it good. See how good of a trip it is for you.
Yeah, let's.
Mechanically, too, Patrick, of note with this is when you indulge your vice, it rolls your weakest score. So what I mean by that is insight, prowess, resolve. The lower amount of dots you have on the left column, that's what you're going to roll to de-stress. So Lauren got halfway. It was like not that satisfying, but not like the worst, right? It was okay. It was in the middle.
Yeah, this is like a normal dose of sunshine, not like the intense, like condensed version of sunshine that got me hooked in the first place.
Right. I kind of like the idea of you like looking kind of serene or whatever, as in the same area as Quiz, completely oblivious, doing the like doodle-doo-doodle-doo, and you're like all like, yes.
Yeah,
That's-
totally.
That's the good stuff. Sweet. All right. Patrick, any idea what you want to do for your first downtime action?
I think acquire asset looks interesting.
Cool.
Sounds
And
like
you-
something I can bring.
Yeah, and basically with that, what we end up doing is generally making it the same thing as an item. So it'll be like a nebulous thing that ends up being the perfect thing that you need on the job, right? You're just like, turns out I acquired this asset already, and this is what it is, and then you use it. The only thing that we define now is how good this thing is.
Gotcha.
So to do that, actually, what you'll do is hit the wired crew at the bottom of the characters, and below reputation, there's hold, and it says weak, strong, and then tier. You're going to click the tier button,
Okay.
and then no extra dice, and just roll it, and then we see what good the quality is.
Let's set on the reference thing, downtime stuff, add a die if you get help from a contact or friend.
Yeah, you could totally do that. Sure.
So can I go to my cousin, the data tattooist?
Oh, sure.
Cool.
Like that. It's funny too. In my head, we have a character in the other game, the Constant Gardeners, who is a data tattooist in a community garden. So
Oh,
it'd be
nice.
funny if you were cousins with them. In my head, that's what's happening.
Oh,
But
and
anyway.
they have more solid connection to us now too, right? Because like I just played in that game yesterday, and we decided, VD, that you'll love this. That the tattooist, the data tattooist in the Constant Gardeners, is the tattooist we send our new people to get our blue arm tattoos. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
That's amazing.
So I'm sorry, what do I hit on the sheet?
So hit the tier button on the wired crew. It doesn't look like a button. It just says tier, and there's like a dot there.
Gotcha.
Click that, and then when it says bonus dice, you'll get 1 because you're doing it with a friend. There you go. So you get a 3.
So I did that.
Yes. So a 1 to 3 is inferior. It's tier -1, so you get a tier 0 thing. However,
Sounds not good.
yeah, but the nice thing is that with every downtime action, you can actually spend jewels to increase the result level until
Ooh.
whatever you want. So you can spend 1 jewel to make it the same tier as you, 1, or you can spend beyond that to make it whatever tier you would like.
How many jewels do we have? Is it on the crew sheet?
Y'all are flush. You got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, and you should start with 2. Actually, I've been starting everybody out with 2.
Would it be all right to do 3 to get it up to tier +1?
Tier +1, yes. That would be fine.
Okay.
So it'll be a tier 2 equivalent thing that you have.
I found a thing. You guys are gonna love it.
Yeah, exactly. The fun thing is when you're doing a score, then you're like, I got this. Sweet. Okay, so we're 5 minutes over that. So why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll do the second round of downtime, and then we'll talk score stuff. Does that sound
Cool.
good? Cool. So come back at 12, let's say. Okay. See you then. Feeling comfortable, Patrick? I know this game is like, it can be super intense your first time.
Yeah, I've sort of got where the fiction is, and everything else I'm just going to whine until someone tells me what button to press.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of buttons in this game, that's for sure, and a lot of ways to modify everything that you're rolling. So yeah, I'm sure you've or did you watch any of Lowell's actual plays on that?
Not much. I've seen bits and pieces as Tyler was watching, but I hadn't caught up on it yet.
Yeah, it's intense. I think it takes at least 5 or 6 sessions before you're like, oh yes, I got this. Which is funny because it's, more than what Gauntlet has a month. So yeah, I try to do my best to bring people into the process, but it's just a lot to remember with this game. It gets really fun when you get some system mastery, but there's just so many moving parts that it's like fine to be like baby steps for sure.
Yeah, hopefully with what I pick up today, I can go into the book and the reference material and start putting together a better idea of how this works.
Yeah. I'll pause the fiction when we're hitting mechanics too, and then explain them, and then it'll probably be easier than reading this stuff, because I find it like the book was pretty good about explaining everything, but it's definitely a game that like you're not really sure why it's doing that until you see the player interactions with the mechanics. And to do that, they first have to have system mastery, so you're kind of like, interesting. Yeah. Oh, we also have to roll your guys' vice den, see how much money you make even on top of that. So you guys are going to be pretty balling here.
Yeah, I feel somewhat competent.
Yeah, and you guys got to select your crew upgrades too, which you might want to vault, I guess. I don't know.
That wasn't the cards.
Yeah.
We did. We picked right. We were all good with that. Vault and personal training is what we went.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I missed
marked
that.
it already since it seemed like everybody was cool with it.
Okay.
Yep. Excellent. I'm feeling cocky enough to upgrade to a vault.
Yeah, totally. No, things are going too well for us right now.
I know. Oh, too well.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, Lauren, are you there? Time for tea. Okay. Well, we'll just start with Brian. Brian, what are you up to for your second downtime action?
Yeah, I think just training. I'll probably spend some jewels to do.
Run the jewels.
Just a bunch of training.
Sounds good. And you know that you can only market 1 per thing, right? Cool. So what are you training in? What do we see on screen?
I just trained everything. Yeah, I mean, I guess trying out all the perks of the new crew and some of the training upgrades that they have that we didn't, and enjoying being like indoors instead of living in a convoy.
Rough life quiz. Yeah, no more camping, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, the crew that he just came from for everybody is like basically the Twister crew, right? Like the people that chase the storms and are daredevils and trying to get data and do some other stuff, but a little bit more bloodthirsty than that. But roughly that kind of a thing. So you guys are definitely a change of pace. That's for sure. Cool. Silver.
Okay, I think Silver's going to do something a little more interesting here. I want to work on a long-term clock that I'm about to finish up, hopefully here. So,
Ooh.
this is a clock. So this is a clock that I've been digging up dirt on Fatma, corporate exec. He was with the corporation that became Nourish after everything went to hell in this setting, but was kind of part of. He was often the ones giving me jobs as doing corporate dirty work as kind of a special operator, and it was one of those things where I feel like I was lied to and used, and I'm just very angry about having been part of all of that terrible stuff. So I think taking down Fatma has kind of been one of my character's long-term goals. So I already have a completed clock on him where I discovered that he was also a bloom addict, so uses the same drug that I do, same purveyor. And then I had started a new clock for digging up like dirt, because I think Silver has realized she's not happy with just going in and like slitting his throat. She's like, she wants to destroy this person, like destroy their life publicly and make them just yeah. So I've been sneaking into, like, when they indulge their vice, I sneak in there, but I want to roll on this clock again to see if I can finally dig up some like real dirt that I can use against him to try and take him down here.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got 5 ticks of a six tick clock.
And the community that Fault is from, and the job that Quiz just did, was a Nourish project where, and it was like a place where they were, growing plants, and there was those digital pollen plants and stuff. So like all that could be
interesting,
interrelated.
Yeah, I'm way into that. So I'm imagining then like having conversations, with you guys about this, and if either of you want to like help in the role for an extra die kind of deal, basically like I feel fictionally maybe you're helping me, with whatever information you guys dug from there. Maybe you found something specific about orders that Fatma gave that are just like, if they were publicly known, it would be like, no, this guy needs to be taken down kind of thing. So I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
Ideas.
I mean, the specifically stuff we had beforehand was just that Nourish was like just taking up all the water in the area, and and by that crushing all the other competitors around. But yeah, I mean, we may have extracted some information from those plant pollen stuff. Yeah, any of that would make sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Another thing that might make sense as well, though, is the constant gardener job before the one that we just did was them blowing open Nourish, like literally cracking a hole in it and then striking the building with a lightning bolt, like ordering an act of God from Straylight to fuck up the building. But someone with ulterior motives on the crew also snuck in and hacked their servers, and sort of Gabrash, which would be also, funnily enough, the data tattooist that might be the cousin of
and
of our new member.
People too for their blue tattoos.
Exactly, but what he did was he hacked it and then sort of wirelessly outputted it to everyone.
Okay.
Disseminating all these secrets and stuff like that out into like the free world through information's sources. So
yeah,
we could even have like a slight crossover thing where in the timeline of things, this is just happening now, and you're trying to hack some of that data that's coming out of the stream or something, right?
Yeah. I'd be way into that.
So yeah, it's the combination of the trail you were following, this release data that comes out, and then that little bit of extra info that I'm bringing from my crew.
Yeah, so I'm imagining just like collating all this.
All pieces come together.
Hopefully, with the role here, hope they'll be able to finally get something solid to like use against him. That would be cool. Okay, so then I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to call this action though? maybe study at this point, since it's a thing with. Does that make sense? Study, since we're kind of like getting all this information, and quiz is helping me, kind of put together all this data from different sources and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Then I'll take the extra. I get an extra die for that, right?
It's impossible for you to fail too. So,
yeah. So I like to build up a little bit of fiction on this because it's a big deal for my character. So
yeah, for sure.
Study. Bonus die. Submit. Ooh, I got a 6 anyway, so that's good.
So all of the things. You learn all of the things.
Okay.
Cool. So I think what you pull up is a project that's called Project Co-op. That is like, it was being tested back in the day, the 20 to 30 years ago or whatever, at the very same location that you and Quiz hit back in the day.
Uh-huh.
But it was in the, like you guys hit the data, but this wasn't like a data thing. It was a technology that they were developing in the same central location, and you guys had to like bug out really quickly, right?
Yeah.
But what it was is they're working along with information to hack people's nanites into co-opting their like neural feeds and stuff. Not for mind control, but it's like a piggyback thing. So they would actually, instead of being able to surveil, right now they can tell like where people are and their general health and stuff. And they spin this as a good thing, right? They're like, we can tell if you're about to have a heart attack. We'll come get you. And like, we're monitoring you. Like, we're nourished. We're like your mom, right? That kind of stuff. That's their PR spin on all of that. But instead, this would make them, this would co-opt everybody with nanites into actually being active surveillance. You could see out of their eyes and do facial recognition and stuff like that by seeing the feed of everybody else walking around and running a programming on that feed and stuff. So it's very bad. it bad.
Cool.
And Fatma has been heading that up for the entire time. So it's been like 20 years of him developing this thing, right?
Yeah.
So did that meet your expectations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'm glad you did it. I wanted to make sure it was something, because it's 2 clocks, right? So I don't want you to feel like you were like, wow, I worked towards that for a long ass time. So cool.
Yeah, I love it. That's perfect.
Cool. Okay. Vidi, second downtime action.
I've been debating this for some time. I think I might take some more drugs.
Oh, okay.
Like, say if I have 4 stress left, so I figure like, there's still like a fair bit of stress I need to get. I was really, really stressed out by going I get to that earthquake, man. It was pretty terrifying.
Apparently, yeah. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, I think I'll hit indulge vice and then see what I get, and then.
Okay. Another thing that you could do.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You rolled a 1 already. But what you could do is spend, instead of you could spend money to increase your result from 3 to a 4 or a 5 on that.
Oh yeah.
As well, because you can always spend jewels to increase the results for all of these downtime actions.
I mean, now that you know you rolled a 1, you could still do that, right?
Yes.
Actually, you could increase this one to a 4, and then you'd be 0 stress.
I mean, 0 stress. Yeah.
So you just spend a little bit extra.
I will definitely do that.
Sounds good.
Cool.
And so, like, I wonder, is this a thing that your comrades notice, or is this a private affair that you're having? Like, could anyone have been like, doing drugs a lot lately?
Yeah, sure. If anyone wants to notice me doing a lot of drugs, you're welcome to that knowledge.
So, like, are you just doing it openly and stuff? Like, you're not.
Yeah, the second, I mean, 'cause if this is the second time, I'm probably getting a bit lazy with it. You're probably in the back of the shop kind of thing. I think Vidi would try and separate like the front end from the back end as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe
Okay.
she's still like, yeah. Busted out in the same room as Quiz.
I like one of the new people seeing it, or both of you or something, right? Like you're unpacking your bags or something, and then like out of the corner of your eye, just see like Vidi shooting up twice in a day.
Yeah. Oh, we did establish that like the new way we inject this. Oh, I can consume this drug is like the sunglasses that you put on, and then like you hit a button.
Yeah, that was really
like,
cool.
And then it goes straight into your eyes.
Yeah, so it's like consumable. So basically, it's like I'll try to find the Pinterest. Patrick, did you see the Pinterest? Because the Pinterest is really good for building the world, I think. But there is a particular photo with somebody who's wearing these really cool, I think, white sunglasses that look like they're kind of like coated with something. And Jim Crocker, his character Butterfly, and like did a long-term project where you're wearing these sunglasses that seem like they have a coating, and you like flash yourself with the drug, like it injects it like through your eyes, like with a flash, and then the rest of the time you actually have these glasses. So the sentinels were like going around, and there's like all these discarded glasses in the trash bins and stuff, and they're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Basically, all these like one-time use disposable glasses that can just be recycled and stuff. But yeah, it's a new thing, and I'm sure they'll eventually catch on. But yeah, at the moment they're just kind of like, what is going on in the green zone at the moment? And that is sort of the lower end of the drug, if I remember correctly, right? Like the high end drug is the stuff that the porters and stuff use, and then these disposable sunglasses are the sort of like the ones that you give to the junkies and like all that kind of stuff, right? Oh, did you already post it? Okay. I didn't see that you posted it. I think, let's see if it's the same one. Yeah, that's the one. Cool. You're quick. So it looks like that. It flashes them, and then after that, you're just kind of walking around with those kind of sunglasses, which is kind of neat. So you're taking the like low stuff, Vidi? The sunglass hit?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because
Cool.
I like that visual of, yeah, we know what the glasses are. So if there's like someone finds a pair of like just got someone's window and sunshine.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay.
Actually, like just to clarify, I thought that when Jim did that, I thought that it was improving our delivery of the thing. So isn't this the new high end, or is it not? I thought it was like that he helped us develop a new high end way of like a much like cleaner delivery system or something like that.
Right. It increased the quality, didn't it? So yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it is the better way. So instead of tier +2 is tier +3. Did you guys write that down? Maybe put it on your crew sheet, because that's something I forgot about until you just did it. Oh no, it says that +1 tier with MSG. New delivery method. 6 sunglasses.
I think the MSG was, I did a thing to increase the quality as well. So we've got, and then Jim also increased the quality.
So it's +2. So maybe just change that. So yeah, even corporate people are just like, oh yes, this is the good stuff. Got to get those sunglasses. Cool. So, all right. Yeah, that's pretty good then. Tier tier 5 basically for the good stuff, which is as good as it can get, really. And Patrick, second downtime action.
I think probably training. That sounds good.
Cool. What do you want to train?
Sorry, excuse me. I was thinking insight. Is it still called the same thing?
Yep. So then you would add 2 pips to the track there.
And did I hear? Can you spend on that too?
Not on that one. You get double the XP
Gotcha.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, I was spending jewels to take additional downtime actions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he ended up doing training and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you can train each track once per downtime.
Gotcha.
Per jewel. And then you can consume a jewel to do an extra downtime action at any time, which is you can even do that during a score, which will happen. I wouldn't say frequently, but it happens from time to time where you can be like, I'll put an obstacle in your way, like a guard or something, and you'll be like, okay, well, this guard I can circumvent by doing a flashback because I actually got their credentials to be a guard here. I'm going to acquire that asset. Then I show the guard that, and it's like done. So there's a interesting way of problem solving in the game, basically.
Gotcha.
And so that way you can always spend to get another action.
Can I spend one to train 2 different tracks then?
Yeah, you can consume additional one and then train a different track. Yeah, and
Is that
it's
all right
2
with people? Okay.
And so it's 2 for all of them because they have every upgrade. So that's pretty good.
Then I'll do prowess as well.
Cool. And what do we see on screen for each of those?
So what does like meteorology, weather prediction look like in this world? Is it a thing, or is it all super chaotic?
All information is mostly controlled by that corporation, so it's like a like black market Blade Runner-y thing where you would go to some guy who's like a meteorologist who's got like all those 80s monitors hooked up and running his own software and simulations and stuff like that. And that's the people that you would sell that information from your people to, for the most part. Some corporations
Gotcha.
probably also buy it on the sly if they can, but
then yeah, I think it's some like underground meteorologist that I've worked with before, and so I spend a lot of time in his shop just running like simulation after simulation, just changing different like existent states in the area around us, so that like I can just get a backlog of what are the sort of things that might happen, how could these different fronts play out.
cool.
And
Maybe
then
there's like an Easter egg in the corner of one of the monitors that's like Dorothy, right? For all the Twister fans.
and the prowess, I think it's a lot of just like his life up until now included like constant outside movement, running, hiking, all sorts of stuff every day over the outside areas, and life in here is a lot more sedentary. So I think wherever he can just go running from level to level and parkouring, jungle gymming, where there's something free that he can do that on, just because he's not getting any sort of exercise here.
Cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Sweet. So that's downtime. Does anyone have want to do additional downtime actions?
Yes, because I get 3.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like starting a long-term project. I don't have a good reason to, but I was, because I feel like we have these cool people from like the Silken Shores, right? That have an element of like gene hacking on plants and stuff. So I feel like it would be silly not to leverage their backgrounds by looking to diversify our drug operation potentially, by looking into some other sort of like organic means of taking raw materials and putting it into drugs.
You already have tier +5 or 4.
But you never know. Like there might come a time when we can't use sunshine anymore, and then like what'll happen if we run out of that? You know.
You just got a match, okay. So mechanically, what do you want out of the long-term project?
Good question. I think mechanically, I was kind of looking for some friends with the split peas. We don't have any friends in the split peas, do we?
Do you? I don't know. Let's see. Faction. Split peas. You have +1 status with them. So you know them and are like passingly friendly with them.
Yeah, exactly. What if someone had to smoke all the drugs really quickly?
I'm
Not naming names.
just gonna add this clock over here. Then I'm gonna decrease each downtime, which will be your supply then, so that you'll know.
What have I done?
It's a big clock, so you're fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, my gut is telling me to like make some more friends. I think the split peas are a smart group to make, even though we're like pretty good with them, just to like entrench that friendship, because potentially there could be some other business opportunities. But that's like, you know, making really, really great tea that isn't filled with drugs, or maybe it is making more drugs.
That isn't filled with drugs. Whoa, radical idea. Okay, so plot twist, we just drink tea here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so is the long-term project to increase the status
With
by +1?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so make a clock. I think it'll be we'll say 8 segments. And you know the split peas at +1, so you know that. You would know Yasmin, but not the head of the group yet. They wouldn't trust you enough for that. She is a brilliant scientist, wise, talented, and reasonable. And I will get you a picture of her.
So, who are these 3 groups, the underworld groups?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so the split peas are gene hackers who sort of became their own union and left Nourish ages ago, like 5 years ago or something like that. Nice. And now they're the main competition for Nourish. So they're fairly big deal, and they have like underground farmers markets and stuff where they sell the same food, if not better, or extinct foods and stuff like that. That Nourish haven't figured out how to do yet, and they're of course free of the nanites. So they're the main competition, and Nourish is always trying to like stomp them out and stuff. But they hold a thing weekly called the Green Mile, where they kind of use this futuristic tech that spray paint a literal mile of the city, where they also have it engineered where the solar panels don't shine light on that area. And it's called the Green Mile, and that's where everybody goes to shop in the underworld each week. So
Gotcha.
they're like kind of a big deal.
And and then it's like a broader narrative level. I thought it would be useful to get in good with the split peas if Silver is gonna like push on taking down Fatma and like getting more into Nourish and stuff. So I'm just trying to like I'm trying to be helpful by weaving in some stuff there, and looping in our friends from Silk Falls who have gene hacking backgrounds.
And what is the other underworld one that we mentioned that you weren't aware of as well, Patrick?
There's the Mirrored and Straylight.
Right. The Mirrored are people who have kind of joined a kind of like a protest movement against the corporate council, and they are called the Mirrored because they always wear these mirrored face masks, and it's to, like they say, it's to reflect the visage of their oppressors back at them when they have these protests and stuff. Lately, they've becoming more and more radicalized and dangerous, departing from their peaceful ways from before. And these guys have pissed them off because they have done a job where they had like a kind of secret safe house, the Mirror did, where people would walk in and change into like their mirrored clothes, so nobody knows their identities. And these guys took over that space, taking them out and calling the Sentinels to pick them up and stuff. And co-opted that space for their own, which is now their drug den. So they are not super happy. And this is Jasmine.
And then Stray Light.
Stray Light are I'm trying to remember what this particular group knows about Stray Light. Stray Light, they know that. Yeah, why don't you tell them, Jesse?
Sure, I'm pretty sure, and because this is the group that we discovered that like almost they're super difficult to find. They're almost like nomadic within Shelter One. Like they kind of go from place to place, and they have the ability or like some method of like truly predicting with like super accuracy the like nature of and timing of acts of God. And so we found out about them like via some gather information or a long-term project, I can't remember which, and then we pulled off a really really high stakes, very risky kind of like way of kind of courting them and being like, hey, let's work together, since of course we you know mine acts of God for our drugs. It would seem like a match made in heaven. So we did a thing and ended up like kind of kidnapping one of their upper echelon members, but basically bringing them to a meet where we like presented them with stuff that we knew they needed. And yeah, so they're awesome, and now we're buddies with them. We can get information about acts of God there too.
And you know that they're comets, which are
right.
People that have an airship and are like doing halo jumps off them to burglarize and do subterfuge missions and stuff like that. And they're so named because the name of the airship is called Stray Light, and it's kind of like what people know about them.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Was everything else I said on the money there, Fraser? Did I mess up anything?
No, that was good. Yeah, thank you. So that is Jasmine. I posted a picture. So dark skin, she's got like these huge hoop earrings on, green, whatchamacallit. It's really loud here right now. Green kind of like cloak wear, buzz cut, and she's got a tattoo in the center of her forehead. And as usual, I will post this picture to YouTube people so that they can see as well. So that'll be the person that you're interacting with. How do you, I guess, swoon her, or how do you go about, what is the long-term project, basically?
I think it's just like, a friendly mutual exploration of potential business opportunities, since we work in tertiary, like tangent aligned fields that I think could potentially see some, good business opportunities blossoming. But it's just like friendly tea in the garden.
Okay, so it begins with an invitation.
Yeah. Because I want to go back to that gazebo where I make friends.
Yeah, get that gazebo. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you meet in neutral territory, which is the Constant Gardeners community garden, right? With the gazebo, but nobody knows that. What? And invite for tea. Cool. So what action do you think that is for your long-term project?
I feel like maybe like networking or sway. I think it would be more sway if I like took a little like tidbit of information that Silver got about like what's happening with Nourish, and just sort of like trying to elbow with like we've had some stuff about Nourish, like I say, what is it, like, and an enemy of my friend is my friend, or whatever it is, like that kind of thing.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
My friend, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that might be maybe like a little bit of the hook, is to be like, like we've dug at some stuff on Nourish, and
Yeah. You Sun Tzu her. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So roll that up And then let's see how many pips you get on the
Okay.
or segments. I don't know. I always say pips, but mark the segments. Nice. 2 segments. Cool. Does anybody else want to spend a jewel to do a downtime action? And you can always do it in the future as well, right? The system doesn't differentiate between moves or rolls and actions made now in the future or the past. It can happen at any moment, except the future, because I messed that up. So everyone's good? Cool. So let's talk about now you're in free play mode, which is just what it sounds like. You can do whatever you like, but the actions are technically not safe, right? We enter the places where you can have position and effect occur, and therefore repercussions from your rolls. And typically, it would be stuff where people are gathering information in order to pull off a kind of score. But Patrick has not seen this before, so why don't we be quite open about this and just say what I like to do with scores is just have people kind of talk about what they're super jazzed to do and pick a job by what will be very fun and kind of what people want to just see in the fiction, and then we just work towards getting that detail in the fiction and executing it instead of like, yeah, it's kind of like a writer's room approach to what the players want to see on screen versus it makes most sense in the fiction if we go for this turf or this claim and do all this stuff. Instead, let's just be like, I really want to fuck some people up right now. Let's do an assault or whatever, right? So, Patrick, since you are new here, is there anything you super are interested in about the setting and stuff that you'd really like to see this session or anything?
I don't know if it necessarily needs to be this session because I don't know how timing of things will work out, but I definitely would like to see one of the acts of God be in the middle of one of them, sort of thing. Like that's these weird over the top weather phenomenon are one of the neatest things in the setting, and one of the things I don't really have a calibration for where you're thinking of them on. So I'd love to see one.
Okay, cool. And I'm guessing Jesse has an idea for a score. Is this the case?
I do. If we want to go there, I mean, I'm cool doing other things this session, but I know that Silver, once she gets this information, is ready to move forward with it. And I have an idea of how that could go down, or at least how Silver would present it to the group.
Okay, because
we could have a scene of that if we want at some point here.
Okay, yeah, because now is the iron is hot for Nourish, right? Yeah, because they're all messed up from the constant gardeners hitting a lot of criticals. Anybody else? Lauren, Brian, anything that you're super jazzed about?
I think both of those plans sound cool. Vidi's always down for more acts of God, and Vidi's also down for supporting Silver and Silver's endeavors.
Well, I mean, we could always incorporate an act of God into Silver's plan, I'm sure, right? Because you could always just be like, let's hit it when an act of God is happening for cover or for whatever, right?
All of Vidi's Christmases have come at once.
Yeah. Nice. All this plan really needs is more drugs. Cool. Brian, anything you're particularly stoked to see?
No, that all sounds good to Quiz. I think, yeah, no matter how crazy this plan is, it'll be less reckless than whatever his last crew would have decided to do. So
we'll see. We'll see. Cool. Okay.
Or at least it won't be shocking to Quiz. It'll be, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay. So Jesse, do you want to frame a scene and hit it up?
I guess I want to discuss. I'm a little less sure on how to tie an act of God into this particular plan, because this is one that Silver wants to make incredibly public during a time when people would be out and available and stuff to see this. So I don't know if that's something we want to tackle this session if we want to see an act of God as well. But well, I guess I could present Silver's plan, and then we could figure out how to do it if that's
yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So yeah, I'd like to frame a scene kind of in the back of the tea shop, other side of the beaded curtains that client, that customers don't ever see, and I imagine kind of standing around a table, and of course, I think this is a big one because I don't know if Silver has ever admitted to how complicit she was in what these corporations were doing. But I think this is the time when she kind of comes clean to the crew and is like, kind of. I think she starts out with a kind of this like rambling, explanation of her past, military, private, going private as far as like contracting work as well, and then the type of jobs she started taking for these corporations, and then talks about specifically the person she was getting most of her orders from, this guy Fatma. Yeah, I'm sure. Probably Silver probably still thinks that you don't know, but like I'm sure you do. Yeah, I love that so much. So VD's definitely knows what's going on. But yeah, I think Silver just lays it out. Here's what I was doing. Here's the person that was behind much of it. And then I even talk about, like Quiz helped me find more data on, this project that, they were involved in. And, we're able to collate all this data from what I've been able to pick up over time, from what Quiz has, from what Fault has, from their interactions with Nourish. And I think I finally have enough to take him down. And I want to do this very publicly. I think Silver probably stops and like looks up because just made this massive, admission of like complicit, how complicit she was. And I'm interested to know what your characters think of that and how you react.
I think Fault is very much just like, obviously everyone has always known this, and this is the sort of people that you are in the city and the sort of things that y'all work with. So I mean, I'm cool. This is not surprising me at all. I've done these sort of things too. Everybody has. Who hasn't?
I am like Vidi nods and says, like, we've all done things we're not proud of. We've done things together that we're not proud of. But it pays not to dwell upon those things in the past and focus more on the opportunities that are presented in the future and how one can better oneself. She says this is like she's slightly glazed over still from all the drugs.
Yep. And I am also cool and have done cool things. Cool with all of this, guys.
Quiz.
Yeah, like in the flashback, we described Quiz as having been a hero worship for you back in the day. So I can imagine Quiz went through like a bit of disillusionment from that because of those things, and now you're owning up and trying to like make amends for those things. So you're right back to like, Quiz is not a kid anymore, but yeah, they're probably as impressed with Silver as ever. I knew Silver was the best for a while there. She lost her way, but yeah.
And I think probably in that early, I'm probably even like looking towards Quiz and being like, Quiz knows a lot of this. We worked together in the past, and Quiz knows that I've made some big mistakes, but I think it's time that we can actually start making a strike back and like maybe change something here. Right now this is just one person. I'm not trying to take down Nourish. I'm not trying to do anything. This person needs to be gone. Nourish as like an organization can wait for another day. I mean, this isn't going to look good for them, but they'll find a way to, like put this all on Fatma and like escape culpability. But this is a step, and this is one person that needs to go away. And so I think Silver wants to like, the plan that Silver will outline is pretty simple. I think Silver will mention that you discovered that Fatma is addicted to a drug called Bloom, and Silver does not at all mention that she is also a user of that, and that's actually one of the reasons why she was able to track down Fatma through this drug. Anyway, but that he's a user of this drug, and that's absolutely, when he is unconscious for hours, that is absolutely the perfect time to put out a blast like publicly about, like on like digital billboards, like through news outlets, through whatever, about his involvement with this project. What was it called? Project Co-op. Yeah, Project Co-op. In addition to the location that he's currently at unconscious. So put all the data out on him and his current location and let the authorities or mob justice kind of take its course. That's at least her pitch.
Well, could something about an act of God make like hacking into whatever news streams or billboards or whatever easier, like disrupting electrical security?
I dig that idea. So like it could even be that you like ahead of time use an act of God at, like you say, as cover to get to whatever network, kind of like stuff, and maybe even using like J5. One of our other players has like this, what was it? What did he call it? Some kind of like hacker radio or something like that, and using that in conjunction with other, act of God to get us into a location to set up like a timed broadcast that we then set or that we then like can remotely set off when Fatma goes under. I think that's really cool. I like that idea a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. I could totally see like using the cover of a storm, to like have like blackouts and stuff, and like use that as a mask to infiltrate whatever systems we need to, and then put out this information.
What? Okay, I've got a weird idea, and I'm having trouble really fully working it out of my head. So I'm going to say what I have. We've got this digital pollen that we know is out there. What if like we hack the message into the pollen, and then like a windstorm disperses it so that like there's no containing the message, right? Because this act of God windstorm is just.
Digging it.
I like that. That's cool.
That's a great weird idea.
Yes. Disperse it via like data pollen. That's
amazing.
Yes.
So on board for that.
Love it.
Cool. Okay, let's come back at 05, take a quick bio break, and then we'll get into it. All right. Blue Oolong episode 9. Welcome back.
Hello, hello.
What you drinking?
Just water.
Oh.
I finished the oolong tea, and I had tea earlier today too, and I thought it would be fine, but I'm like jittery as fuck now. I'm just like, whoa.
Oh.
So that's fun. All right, so how do we plan for this job, y'all? For one, what type of plan is it? Is it assault, deception, stealth, AOG, meaning it relies on specialized tech, social, or a transport job? As its primary purpose, or at least initial primary purpose.
Stealth to start, right? You know, like if we're trying to get in via, you know, the cover of a storm, I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I like that. And stealth needs the detail of an entry point, which you have, right? You know the club already, right? Because unbeknownst to everyone else, you frequent it. Or do you want to come up with a different?
I guess the question is, where are we uploading the all the data to be dispersed? That's what we're really trying to sneak in for at this point.
Oh, okay. You're not trying to get to him. You're trying to disperse data.
I think it's like we're just gonna. I think at least what we talked about so far, the idea is to sneak into some place, hack in the data that we need to be released while he is indulging his vice, so that he's like unconscious and totally like unprepared for the fact that this information is out there and that people will probably be coming after him or something like that.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Okay, I like that. And the idea was to leverage those plants that would release pollen at some point, right?
Yeah.
What was the idea with that?
Yeah, it was to sort of use the pollen as like a nanotech dispersal cloud. Like the broadcast would be carried in the pollen, and some like act of God windstorm, electrical storm would spread it around and activate it, I guess.
Cool. I have a thing for that.
Excellent.
Yes. So there's definitely a thing in the city that is sort of like what the Soap Falls Flowers does. It is definitely on the DL though, so it's definitely a gathering information type thing, I think, to get into contact with it, because they're literally a hidden group of people. Let's see. Let me just check and make sure that if you guys faction mode. Yes, you are not aware of them yet, it looks like. So, how would you go about finding a dispersal method like this, you think? Is there any contacts you have, especially high up contacts, that might be aware of these things and be a entry point into the conversation to gain knowledge of these individuals?
My friend is a member of the Porters, so I don't know if they have any contact with this group.
The Porters are a pretty big pull in the city. I think they're tier 3 or so.
We're already selling them sunshine, right? So we have a good relationship there.
Right. Yeah, they're tier 3 weak. What else do you have? Does anyone have any pertinent friends? I thought you had somebody who was like a spook or something.
That would be one of my friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
Envy could be a good source there. Although, oh, okay, it changed on my sheet. Okay, yeah, I guess because we'd been going with, oh yeah, I remember it was something that changed in the documents that you've been making for the game and stuff. Like Envy was originally, like said, a retired spook or something like that, and then it changed to a local scam artist. But I think we decided to just go with the fiction we'd established already, right?
Okay.
Which was that she was a spook, I think.
Yes, yeah, we were just going to maintain it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, cool. Let's see.
Then that would be an option.
Cool. Yes, and a spook would make sense. Cool. So where do you set up a meet with everybody, or is this a thing that you do on the side, or what is the scene?
I think this is something that just happens, like probably it goes back to like the tail end of our first meeting there with you know, once it got suggested that we use the combination of using an act of God as cover and then using, this kind of pollen dispersal method. I'm like, I think it was like we just probably started talking about who we could reach out to, and I think, to try and find that exact type of thing. And I think then I think Silver would definitely mention that she has this contact and is like, I can bring in Envy and see what, have her put out feelers and see what she finds.
Right. Here we go. Cool. Okay, so the contact. Cool. I've got my page pulled up for that faction. So, how is it that you are like what is the action role along with your contact to get this information, you think?
Yeah. I think it's consort or network, right, is what you
networking.
Yeah. So I think it's networking with her and then having her put words out. I mean, I think it's just like a network of people that know each other that may have done this type of work in the past or still do, like kind of covert operation kind of stuff. And I think it's just spreading word and trying to get word back from someone who might know something.
Cool.
Yeah. So rolling the network then?
Yes.
All right. And gather information. So is there risky, like is there position and stuff like that involved here? What should it be, I guess?
Yeah, it'll be risky standard.
Okay.
Because this information is some stuff.
Totally.
I'll have a secret clock here that I might take depending on what your
Nice.
results are here.
Okay, so I'm taking 1 bonus die for using my contact. Trying to think if there's any other good ways to get more dice here. Could push myself, but I'm already kind of high on stress. We'll see. I think I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go with that. That'll give me three dice on this.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. So admitting, I got a 6.
That's pretty good. Okay, so what is the exact question that you want to pose? And then you'll get a follow-up question as well.
Yeah. Where can we find a how do I want to phrase this?
Like a dispersal method?
Yeah, a dispersal method for, like basically this kind of like hacked pollen that we want to put out into the air to spread the message and data.
Right. Okay. I think, let's see. Some of the data, I think you're like, is this a phone call or what is it? Is it a meeting or?
Yeah, I think it's like, I do think it's probably a face-to-face meeting with this person who this other, possibly spy that Envy helped me get in touch with that knows something about this.
Okay. I think it's, I think they set up a meeting with you that is one of the fallow walls where Patrick, all the walls that line the city are filled with massive amounts of turf and dirt and stuff like that. And at the tops of each of these fields is where all of the labor is doing for growing all of the plants and the vegetables and all the stuff that the city needs that way. And there's sort of like these wind and sun screens that move over them. But when they make a harvest, the ground is fallow, and then they put like a sort of fake turf stuff over it, kind of like that Green Mile, and it becomes like a public park basically that people use. But it's pretty cool because you're like super high up, right? And there's only 1 or 2 of these available in the green zone at a time. But they set up a meet with you at the top of one of these, so it's got like that fake green grass fields and all of that action. And it seems like you're meeting at a park, but then the camera like pans out and it turns out you're like on top of the world and all that kind of stuff, right? And they have it on in this particular park, it is pretty close to some other buildings that overlook close to the white zone, which is where all like the rich folks and stuff live, right? And the corporate culture. So you have to be quite well off. And as you approach, your contact like points out a finger and looks at all of these specific rooftops, and they're filled with saffron. So, and you can tell because I don't know if you know what it looks like, but I'll send a Google picture of what that looks like. They're very bright, like bluish purple. And nowadays in our culture right now, saffron is really expensive, but it is ubiquitous in this setting. It's saffron grows very well in poor soil. And so it's sort of like as cherry blossoms is to what we think of the East, saffron is what this setting is to that, right? So you'll see these petals flying like all over the place, and it's also kind of like conspiracy theorists here have a thing about it because it's also used as a mood booster. What is it called? The actual terminology. It ups like dopamine levels, right? So instead of like chemtrails, people are like, they're controlling us, making us pacifist with all the flowers flying around, and everyone's like, it's just pretty, man, calm down, right? But it's also something that you guys would be aware of because you probably have teas using saffron leaves that are used for dopamine increases and stuff like that. And what you see though is that it's kind of becoming a fad in the white zone where these really tall buildings, and also like if you take a look at architecture in Sweden right now, where it's kind of like healthy living buildings where it has greenery and like a pool on the top, and it's like tiered, and people have to take care of the community spaces and stuff. All the buildings in the white zone are like that. But at the tops, for whatever reason, they all are like completely covered with this flower in different arrangements and styles. And the in thing right now is to having employ somebody who is a gardener, who they kind of like wealthily compete with each other to hire these people to have the best arrangements and like outdo one another, right? But what your contact tells you is there's a hidden meaning in these flowers, which is like maybe you've shared a little bit of the information about silk falls and the flowers, and the information kind of like overlaps, right? Like they've kind of used this similar technology so that all of these petals also double as communication devices. And there's kind of like an urban legend slash myth that a group called the Cli-fi Stigma, which is the name of saffron, are kind of like these, they're like an unofficial group that paired together, and they're kind of infiltrating the elite in this way as these gardeners who are outdoing each other, but in fact they're all one group that are together and trying to bring down the higher class as they literally like plant all of these things on the roofs and the lifestyles of the wealthy and the elite and stuff like that. So they're pretty low tier in the game. They're tier 2, but they said if you can get contact one of these people, which you'll be able to easily spot, and a lot of them work in the white zone but live in the green zone commuting, and they all wear robes of blue that matches the petals, so they're easy to spot, and they're like proud of their trade. But yeah, their more nefarious intent is to slowly build a infrastructure in the white zone before like gaining power, and they're slowly doing so. They were it's taken them a long time to do so, and they're still only like tier 2. Like they've been operating way longer than you, so they're patient. But the legend goes that it's kind of like a Kaiser Soze thing, where Nourish went to this commune where they were growing this stuff that was being exported, and basically raised all their fields and dispersed them and killed a whole bunch of them. And they had no choice but to migrate to Shelter One. And then the wealthy and elite started hiring them to do the work that they were doing out there anyway. And so it's sort of like this urban fairy tale that, like, you know, if you mess with the Cli-fi Stigma, then they'll come for you, but nobody knows if it's like a real thing or not. But now you know that it is. So if you can get in good with them, you might be able to use essentially the network of all of those flowers to do the thing that you want, and maybe just like do them a favor or pay them or whatever. And you get the name of Isadora. Is known to be commanding, weathered, and complex is the 3 NPC code things that you learn about them. And so you get a picture of them, which I will ferret out for you now.
You said the group is called Cli-fi Stigma? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah. Here's a little blurb.
So it sounds like maybe it's actually a social score to like convince these people to cooperate.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's a complete score. You could always just hit them up and pay them or whatever to use the network.
Is this a place where I could bring in that asset?
Yes. It could be. It could be whatever the thing is that they need, right? And you said it's tier what? 2?
One above us, so 2.
Yeah, so that's what
so
they
maybe
want.
it's like gene splicing information from the colony that it come from. Like I had gotten it in through my cousin, and it's just, it's not, they're doing similar things, but it's just some different techniques or some different gene codes to go after to achieve some different effects that maybe they hadn't gotten to yet.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's cool. Because you guys have been doing it much longer than them. So it's like a way of life for y'all versus them. So
then I think I have like a wrapping sort of nanocircuit vine tattoo around one arm that she had put on that carries this information.
cool. So do you have it on, I think you're a quirk, so you have moistware, I think. And moistware basically is like an encryption thing that Forge communities have developed, and basically you put information on this device, but the only way that it can be accessed is if it is wet, which is like a commodity, right? And it's a way of making something inert until wet, so that if you're searched or like the cops come grab you or whatever, they can't read it. And so far they don't know how to do it, and each one is specific, so you program it for like a specific composition that you would submerge in it to activate it, and then you would hook it up to something. So it'd be like for instance, like tea, right? It could be like this only, the data on it only becomes active when you put it in like Earl Grey or whatever, right?
Nice.
Yeah. And that's Isadora. So white hair, brownish skin, tattoo on the side, white hair, and of course is walking around in the blue robes, right? And she lives in the green zone. So it sounds like maybe Fault and Silver perhaps might try to convince her to use the network, and you already have the thing that she needs, or they need, right? So you just like bump into her, or what? We could even say that maybe she frequents your tea shop. That might be fun.
That would be very cool. I like that. Bring it.
Yeah.
Cool. So time passes from that meeting. Oh wait, do you have a follow-up question as well? You're entitled to one. Because you rolled a 6. All the good informations.
Ooh, I don't know. Anybody else think of information we still need or want, or anything that could be beneficial?
Well, I don't know if it's like related, but like do we know where Batman's going to be at what time and stuff? Like, is that information we need to suss out, or do we just have that?
I guess that depends on how we interpret. Like, I definitely, I don't know if we talked about it, Fraser, but when I finished the first clock with Fatma, that's where I got information, because I'd been basically trailing him, and finding out what he did, when, with who, that kind of thing. And that's how I discovered that he also uses Bloom. I don't know if we discussed if it was like a regular thing, like he's like clockwork, as far as when he does it or not.
I think with that clock, we assumed that you had like his pattern. Like
Okay.
it wouldn't even have to be like you have to hit him exactly then. It's just that like what he does on a typical day every time, right?
Gotcha.
Because it was literally like weeks and months that you were following him, basically.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of
so
awesome.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we've got that information, I guess.
Yeah. Is there any follow-up to the dispersal method stuff though? You're a fuse, are you?
Yes. Yeah. Boy, I don't know if I can't think of anything off the top of my head that we need other than what we've got right now as far as information about it, other than.
Well, we could always say that one of the follow-up that you asked was how can I get them to X, and then basically we know that you already have that because Fault has the thing that you need, right? So you learn that they they would be happy to increase their plans with more information. And you're like, guess who just showed up? It's almost like a TV show, and it all makes sense, right? Wonder why this character's here. Oh.
Nice. Rolling that together makes sense.
Cool. Okay, so let's say it's like, a day or two later or whatever, and Isadora is a frequenter of your shops. And so, yeah, she comes in. What do you think it is that she orders? Probably not something to do with saffron, because she could just do that herself, right?
Like a white tea.
Sure. Cool. So when she orders it, what's the plan? Do you just like pull her aside, or how is it that you confront her? And I think it'll be like fairly delicate, right? This maneuver.
Is this one of those things where like we like, I'm imagining Vidi working in the background to like very like deftly maybe like get other customers out, like to the point where without it even looking suspicious or anything, all of a sudden this person, Isadora, is the only person in the
I like that.
Like Vidi's turning tables quietly in the background.
I love that
Yeah.
very much. Yeah.
Cool.
And so I think we just get to the point, and then I think, I don't know, Silver's just gonna go sit down at the table with them, and I don't know, is Fault gonna come along?
Yeah, I'll bring over a fresh pot and some more cups as you sit down, sort of from the other direction, and we can just sort of descend at the same time on the table.
Cool. Yeah, maybe she always is like gets a corner table or whatever. You guys are quietly doing these like machinations. We see it like super busy at the beginning. She comes in, she orders the tea, she sits down, maybe with like some bread or whatever, right? She starts drinking it. The camera like focuses on her. She's looking out the window. The sun's being like filtered through the screen so it doesn't burn her and stuff. And she's like watching everybody hustle and bustle. It's probably like before she goes to work or after, whatever you think. And then like slowly the camera pans around, and that's when she like looks around and she notices she's the only one there. And then Silver sits down along with Fault, right? On this like, we'll say it's like one of those tall round kind of tables with the bar stools pulled up to it or something like that, right? Is the what's it called? The thing that pours a lot of tea cool looking or anything? Futuristic?
Samovar?
What's that?
It's like a big, tall, ornamental Russian multi-tea pouring thing.
Oh, that sounds cool. I'll have to check that out. Cool. Yeah. So she sits down. I think she initially is like on edge, but then settles down. Like she gets the cornered animal look, but then quiets herself. And maybe you guys have exchanged words before if she's like a regular anyway, right? So it's kind of like, what is this happening? But also I know you, so it's kind of cool, right? And she says, it seems like you're closing early today, Silver. Or is that what she would call you? Would she call you something else?
I think Silver's good enough. I think that I don't think Silver needs to go by much of anything else. I mean, that's not her real name, but that's, I think, what she's known in most circles by.
Right.
Yeah. So I think Silver will just. Silver's a relatively blunt instrument. I think we'll just say, just wanted to have a short little chat. I think that our goals might align here for a moment, and we also have something that you might be interested in.
And yeah, it's kind of like a bribery thing too, right? Because it's like you're presumably giving her tons of tea, which is like, right? This is definitely a splurge for her, right? People can't generally afford too much water, and she probably has been careful about how much she buys and the pretenses and stuff to maintain the facade that all of the gang does, right? Cool. And I think she just sort of like eyes up the tea like hungrily in her eyes, right? And just like acquiesces.
Yeah, I'll like slowly open the valve to pour out like a steaming cup for her and like pass it across very nicely.
Mm-hmm. She takes a sip and she says, well, you sure know how to make somebody feel at home, but I can't help but wonder what it is I could provide. You know, all I do is serve the rich, after all.
I think Silver kind of gets a little bit of like a smirk just at the corner of her mouth and feel like we both know that's not true.
Okay, let's see. This could be where the roll comes in.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I think that Silver doesn't wait too long to like say, hey, we have this information that is beneficial to you. That if you do us a favor, this is yours, kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see what the roll dictates then.
Yeah.
So, are you leading a group action and you're both schmoozing her?
I think that would be cool. We can do you up for a group action? I don't know if you know anything about group actions yet. Do you?
Not even at all.
Yeah.
But it sounds fun.
They are fun.
So when you're both when you're accomplishing a singular task with multiple PCs, you can do what's called a group action, and somebody leads it. If you fail the group action, you cause stress to the leader. But the beneficial part is that you take the highest roll, and both people roll the same stat. So you take the highest result. You can end up taking some stress, but any amount of people can engage in a group action. So it could just be the two of you doing this, and then you have a better chance of an outcome that is favorable. Alternately, if you think you're just helping, you could say, no, I don't want to do a group action, but I will take one stress and I will give you one die extra to roll on this, and that's a different kind of teamwork help.
What would we be rolling here?
What do you think?
I'm torn between network and sway. I mean, I think this is a person that we've got some familiarity with, so just talking to a friend kind of makes sense network-wise, but also we're trying to convince them to do something that they don't even like anyone to know that they're capable of. So probably sway then.
Well, I have none in either of those, so probably assisting you would be better than a group roll.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's totally a legit decision.
Yeah.
So you take one stress on your track, and Silver will add an extra D.
Okay. So
Okay.
I guess I want to know the stakes of like exactly of this particular role. So we're like, so I've presented the fact that I know that you guys do more than just serve the rich. Here's some information gathered about, like, because what's the information about that you have that we're using kind of as this bargaining chip again?
It's like genetic engineering code for the sort of plants that they work on, but this is from that Silver Falls community, so it's a slightly divergent path. They'd figured out some different gene sequences than this group has.
I think I mentioned, like, I don't know if you wanted to be the one that says it or anything, but like that. But I think we just mentioned specifically that that's the kind of data that we have to offer them right here, if we can come to an agreement for mutually helping each other.
So yeah, I think you sort of like offhandedly like, oh, we have this information that you definitely want, and she's very skeptical at that. And so I touch that like swirling tattoo on my arm, and I think all the green from it sort of leaks down from the top to the bottom until it's just in one leaf, which sort of that data tattoo or digital tattoo opens up, and the pigment has all actually solidified into a solid little leaf, which is the information. And I basically just start techno-babbling at her about like really high-end bioengineering, like gene chains and the different sort of pollen structures and things like that that is way beyond what Silver had been using for language.
Right. And since the asset is on par with her level, you'll be in a controlled position. Nice. With standard effect, and you could push for great effect if you wanted. Great effect would probably be her going more out of her way to help you, and standard would be like, well, you can use the thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think I guess I'm trying to understand. I should make the actual like the actual trade of like, hey, this is this for that kind of thing. So I should make them like aware that this is what I'm looking to do, or not yet. I'm not sure what where this role comes in. Like if it's just to make sure they're not responding poorly to us, or if this is to find out if they'll go along with the actual plan that I have. Like, you know, where I lay out the fact that I have this data that I want to disperse via pollen. This will actually be helpful to you as well, because we're taking down someone involved in these corporations that are running everything.
Yeah, so I think the role is to see how much help you get from her.
Okay. Then I think Silver lays all that out and is like, you know, I have information on this person that'll ruin them, and put a real, you know, shadow on Nourish at the moment.
Yeah, before the asset, it probably would have been different because she might have been like, y'all narcs or something or what. But
yeah.
If people showed up now, you're with far more incriminating stuff than what she has on her, right? So
Totally.
instead we've got the stakes as how much she helps you for what you're giving her.
Cool. So I think I am going to push myself for. Do I want an extra die or extra effects? It's at standard effects currently, or
Standard. Controlled standard.
I think standard's fine. I want an extra die.
Yeah. Do people have a ripple to offer?
No.
What is that?
A ripple is like a devil's bargain where you can offer, no matter what occurs with this die roll, something generally bad happens in the future because of this roll. And it's sort of the genesis of what's happening now, but removed from the roll. So some ulterior things.
I don't know how, but it somehow gets back to Silk Falls that we're spreading
That's what I was thinking.
we're like being generous and sharing their attack with other people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I kind of
Sure.
love that.
Yeah. Okay. So if it gets back to them, they'll probably like close off from your, like your own community will close off from you, basically, probably. If you want that, that's a heavy one, but sure.
Up to you guys on that.
I think that sounds interesting.
Cool. Okay, then
Okay.
I guess that's a bonus die from. Where did I get to? I got one from the assist and one from the ripple there. All right. Okay.
Yes.
All right, submitting that. Oof, I'm glad I got an extra die there. I got a 4.
Yeah. So on a controlled position, you hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs. You have reduced effect, you suffer harm, you end up in a risky position. So I think the minor complication is, she says, I think she also says it costs jewels to keep the network up. So I will take what you have to offer, and like takes the leaf, right? But also says a jewel would go a long way.
I'm willing to spend that out of my personal. Yeah, absolutely.
The crew is freaking rolling in it at the moment, actually. So
yeah,
spend it out of the crew.
I think Silver would try to pay for it out of her personal stuff, just because this feels like such a personal vendetta. So I think, I'll just take it out of my personal.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So remove that.
Got that.
And then you're good. But remember, you could also resist it and be like, no, bitch, right?
No, but I kind of like that as a consequence, and I like it just being evident that Silver is all in here.
Yeah, cool. Okay, nice. I think that'll be the closing shot of the episode then. And then let's move to doing XP, just because I actually have to leave like 5 minutes earlier or so to get to a place that I need to go to. So, Brian, let's do XP for quiz.
Sure. Address a challenge with deception or influence. Yeah, definitely the reducing heat was all about that for sure.
Yep.
Nope. Express belief drives, root or background. Trying to remember.
Well, for sure, the stuff about Soak Falls, right?
Yeah.
And ditching the daredevils.
And
Yep.
ditching the daredevils. That could definitely be a drive.
And struggled with visor trauma. I mean, cost me 1 stress. That was about it.
Yeah, that's a thing. You get an XP when that happens. It's explicit in the book.
There you go.
Sweet. Jesse.
Let's see. Okay, no desperate rolls, but addressed a challenge with stealth or precision. I'm actually not sure about that one this session.
Well,
I think you're very
stealth.
precise. Like, yeah, tracking down Fatma and like
Okay, yeah.
finding the right people and
Clandestine meeting on the roof of her wall.
Okay, so yeah, so like one for that, or what? I don't know.
Whatever you
I'd give you
think.
2.
Yeah,
There was 2 of those kind of meetings happening.
that's true.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll take it. So 2 for that, and then expressed beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I think that was kind of I did this whole
Came
session.
clean. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
It's very touching.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And struggle with issues from vice, root, or trauma. Nope. Yeah.
Okay. Lauren.
Didn't roll anything desperate. Addressed a challenge with calculation or conspiracy. Oh yeah, like try to make friends with the split peas because that might come in handy in the future.
Well, and doing drugs behind everyone's back.
Oh yeah.
That should be 2 for that. Yeah, that's very good.
Also, express beliefs, drive, heritage, background. I was trying to push out in the drive to like get richer and stuff and procuring more drugs and that kind of thing. For sure. I think I'm quite an obsession.
Okay. Cool.
And then struggling with issues from your advice or traumas during the session. I don't know, just spending 2 downtime actions to take a lot of drugs count as struggling.
I think so.
Awesome.
Cool.
It's all of me.
And Patrick.
Let's see. Addressed a challenge with investigation or technology. I think so.
Yes, I think so.
Expressed your beliefs, drives, culture, or background. I don't know. We dug into the Silver Falls stuff.
Yeah, well, and everything about you is new in the fiction. So, yeah.
And I don't think I struggled with issues from my vice, root, or traumas, but I have a feeling we may in the future, what with giving away Silver Falls' technology.
Yeah, that ripples become things. Cool.
So 1 for each of those?
Well, it's up to you. If you do something multiple times in the fiction, then you get 2 XP. If it's 1 time, then it's 1 XP. I think the second one at least 2 XP, right? Because it's all new.
Yeah.
Everything about you is new.
Okay.
Challenge wise, it depends on how you feel.
I think I really just dealt with that 1 challenge there at the end.
Okay. And cool. So all of that XP that you just got, you can put it in any track that you like. So you could put it in Insight, Prowess, Resolve, or a Playbook to try to increase it. And when it's full, then you get the thing. So when you fill Insight, for instance, you could put an action rating in any of the subsequent things: trace, study, survey, modify.
Gotcha.
Okay. And Jesse, do you want to do crew?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll bring that up right now. All right, so crew experience. Let's see, did we acquire product supply, execute clandestine covert sales, or secure new territory? I don't think we did those things this time around. No real sales, didn't acquire supply or secure new territory. This was more about like, yeah, Silver's vendetta and getting everyone on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say no to that. Contend with challenges above your current station.
The without the acquired asset, that would have been a desperate roll. So I think at least 1 XP.
Okay, so take one for that. All right, and do we bolster our crew's reputation or develop a new one? Our reputation is daring, hard, and clandestine. I think clandestine definitely, especially with this new them realizing that, oh crap, they know what we do, kind of thing.
Yes, I would agree.
So one or two for that. You guys, what do we think?
Well, you said she was a higher tier than us, right?
Yes.
So, I think 2.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a big thing that we did this session. Okay, and then did we express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? I don't know if we express the nature of the crew rather than like.
Well, I think the fact that everybody's on board to give you the thing that you want to do is at least 1 XP, right?
That's true.
Because other crews might just be like, you go have fun with that, right?
Okay. So then take 1 for that. That makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we rolled over, so we'll get to next time pick another crew upgrade.
Cool. So yeah, normally I do wishes and stars and stuff, but I have to run. So I'll catch you guys next week, and we'll have a session where we talk about that stuff next time. And I'll start off with wishes at the beginning of the section next time as well. So it'll be good. Thanks a lot. And I hope you enjoyed it, Patrick. It was awesome playing with you again.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cool. And good seeing everyone again. And have a good rest of the weekend.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
That was super fun.